Well, after their 2-9-1 start to last season, Edmonton started this season pretty awfully again. They've dropped their first 3 contests to begin the year. Entering Monday, Edmonton ranks last in goals for and penalty kill percentage. They'll host Philly Tuesday as they attempt to get victory number 1 on the campaign. It's time to talk to Bryan Hayes about this situation. Because here's what I wonder, Bryan Hayes, in another edition of Harvey's Hot Takes. Do you think next June, you and I will be looking back at this start by the Oilers and saying, of course it didn't affect them? Or, Bryan, do you sense a bigger problem?
Well, considering on your show last week, Jay, I did not pick them to win the Stanley Cup. I picked the Dallas Stars. I don't think they'll be playing into June. So I guess I have to say that this is the signs of bigger troubles into the future. And I will give them credit. I think it's a genius game plan to try and literally replicate what they did last year with the way that they started. And I guess last year worked for them, right? They got to a Cup final. But I think they're really playing with fire here. And what it looks like to me is that they're trying to get over a really ugly breakup. Like that's what it feels like. Like they just can't get over what happened last year. And I think it's very, very understandable. That's as heartbreaking of a loss as you could ever suffer. The season that they had, it was a magical playoff run. They're down 3-0 in a Cup final. They storm back. It would have been the greatest comeback in NHL history, maybe in sports history. I think it would have pushed individual games like the Pats up 28-3 against the Falcons out of the way. I think it would have pushed a lot of other great sporting events out of the way, and it would have stood at the top. But it didn't happen. They lost in heartbreaking fashion. I think it's very clear they're still trying to overcome that. And I think their best players are at the forefront of that, Jay. Like you just said, they're not scoring goals. Connor McDavid's not playing well. Leon Draisaitl's not playing well, and it's only 3 games. And I have no doubt they'll get over this and they'll figure it out. But what they have to do is start moving towards the future, and they have to start getting pissed off with what happened in the past and trying to rectify that. And that's leading by example with guys like McDavid, with Draisaitl. That defense has been really shaky. Stuart Skinner's been terrible. So they got to get over what's happened in the past. They got to figure it out. They got to get back on track. Again, I have no doubt they will. They're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make the Stanley Cup. I think the worst thing that could happen is they read their press clippings because everyone in the country, and it seemed like everyone in the hockey world was picking them to win the Stanley Cup. But that defense has got to improve. They've got to add a piece or 2 in the future. And there's a Stuart Skinner element to this that I think every other Canadian is watching, non-Oiler fans, because we keep talking about it, Jay. Who's going to start for Canada at the Four Nations Cup, at the Olympic Games next year? He has really struggled early, and he really struggled early last season. He's got to prove he can get it together because he may be the pace car. He may be the guy that Team Canada looks to and says, you got to figure this out. And if you get into a big tournament and you start slow, that could put the team behind the 8 ball like what's happened here with the Oilers. So, again, I didn't have them winning the Stanley Cup. Nothing I've seen through 3 games will make me change my mind on that. They will figure it out. They will get better. They're too talented, but they're not the youngest team in the league, and it looks like they are dealing with some serious psychological scar tissue. They're getting over a breakup, and it's taken them a long, long time. They got to snap out of it and move forward, and I'm looking at the big guys to do that. And I think the beauty of it is, if you're a hockey fan, Jay, a McDavid masterclass is coming, right? He's too good. We know it. He's the best player in the world. He's going to snap out of it, and whoever has to face that wrath, watch yourself, because he's got a 4 or 5 point night coming, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened by the next time you and I chat.
It could happen this Tuesday night against Philadelphia. We'll see. Let's switch over to the NFL, specifically the NFC East. Bryan, let me lay it out for you. The Cowboys annihilated by the Lions over the weekend. The Giants put up 7 points in a loss to the Bengals on Sunday night. The Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, they got a win, but their head coach is chirping his own fans after the win. What does it say about this division, Bryan Hayes, that a team that was until very recently owned by Dan Snyder, of all people, the Washington Commanders, is the most functional franchise in the NFC East?
Listen to what you just said, Jay. The Washington Commanders are the most functional team in the division. That says everything you need to know. And the 3 pillars of stability in the NFL are ownership, head coaching, and quarterback play. Like, those are the 3 pillars. You've got to have it to be elite. And look what you just ran down. The guy in Dallas, the owner, it's a gong show. Like Jerry Jones, it's a gong show. He's put together a team that has serious flaws. He loses out on negotiations all the time. He's flying his helicopter into practices. He cannot get out of his own way. So ownership in Dallas is a serious problem. Nick Sirianni, like you mentioned, barely beat the Browns at home, and he's chirping his own fans. And then he brings his kids up to the podium to use as a shield so the media will take it easy on him afterwards. Absolutely ridiculous behavior by the head coach in Philly. And really, do I have to get into the quarterback in New York? Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. It's just not going to work if Danny Dimes is your quarterback. So the owner in Dallas, the coach in Philly, the quarterback in New York, the three pillars of stability, they're not there in any of those three teams. And when you look at Washington, they have that new owner, Josh Harris. I don't know enough about him, but he seems to be staying out of the way, unlike Dan Snyder. Right? Dan Snyder, like you said, was a complete disaster, the worst owner in football for a long time. So Harris and new ownership has supplied some stability. Dan Quinn, it's early. We'll see what he becomes in the future, but by all accounts, he's had a very positive impact as their head coach. And Jaden Daniels has clearly been the best quarterback in this division through 6 weeks, and it's not even close. So they have an owner, they have a coach, and they have a quarterback down in Washington. Everyone else is lacking at least one of those, in some cases two, maybe three. And I think that explains what we're dealing with here. And it's a thing of beauty if you're a football fan or you're into drama and you love soap operas, because it is the most captivating division in the sport. You got New York, you got Philly, you got DC, you got Dallas, huge fan bases, massive primetime games all the time. And I think this circus is just going to keep rolling all season. I cannot wait to see it play out. But again, it's a mess. It's a big division, and as of right now, Washington's got the owner, the coach, the quarterback, and they're the pace car, and that's the first time we've said that in probably 20, maybe 30 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And just like Harvey's has been serving up delicious burgers for 65 years, this guy's been serving up the hot takes since '83. It's Bryan Hayes. It's Harvey's Hot Takes. Bryan, thanks for this.
Hot Takes is presented by Harvey's. Customize your burger and get it delivered from our app to your door. Harvey's, it's a beautiful thing.